Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's Halloween makeup tutorial is this fun one. It's Harley Quinn. This is great even for a cosplay event. I'm going to start off by priming my skin. This is the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas Primer. I am combo to oily skin, so I definitely need a primer of some sort. Over that, I'm applying the Illamasqua Skin Base in the shade 02. Even though my skin is oily combination, it's very dry and peely at the moment because I'm on a prescription strength retinol. So ordinarily this wouldn't be the foundation I would reach for if somebody had a dry skin texture, purely because it doesn't sit very nice on top, but that's going to work in my favour for this particular look. Harley's base makeup looks a little bit rough and ready. She's been out, she's been fighting, so sometimes the base makeup doesn't look perfect. So that's going to work in our favour because we don't want it to look pristine, otherwise it's going to take us a little bit longer on the base to get it looking less than perfect. Don't worry if your skin is perfect at the moment and you want the base makeup to look similar in terms of a little bit dishevelled. You just don't have to be so perfect with your application. So I'm applying one layer of this and then pressing it into the skin. Note how I've gone for a pale skin tone as opposed to a clown white base makeup. We want it to just look very fair as opposed to going in with something that's white. If you want this to last, you do want to apply a couple of layers. So use thin layers because you don't want it to be too white otherwise. To add a little bit more coverage underneath the eyes, I'm using this Revolution concealer in the shade White and I'm mixing it with a little bit of the foundation so we have a slightly lighter version of that for under the eyes. To set everything in place, I'm using this Sugar Cookie Easy Bake Loose Baking Setting Powder by HUDA Beauty. And I'm going to use my sponge to press this in. Again, ordinarily if you have dry skin, you wouldn't often reach for a setting powder. But what this is going to do is kind of dry out the foundation on my skin, which again is going to help that base makeup look less than perfect and a bit lived in. Many of the tutorials here on YouTube for Harley Quinn are a bit more editorial, a bit more insta glam, whereas I wanted something a little bit more movie-esque. For my eyebrows, I'm filling them in using this brow powder Duo by Anastasia Beverly Hills in the shade Granite. Margot Robbie's brows are naturally fuller than mine and they are a little bit darker in this movie than my natural colour, so I'm going to make them a little bit fuller. They will look a bit more filled in than Margot Robbie's, but it's hard to make it look more realistic without adding actual hair. You could use a brow pen to create hair-like strokes, but again you're leaning more towards that on-trend brow, which this isn't about. So as you can see, I've filled in my brow, leaving the front section a little bit more sparse looking because that makes them look a bit more natural. And then I'm just going in with some brow gel, also by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this just gives the hairs a bit more of a HD finish, so they look more hairy rather than powdery. I'm adding a little bit of a cool coloured contour just down the sides of the nose so it doesn't look flat. The foundation is so fair that it really does blank out the face, so we need to add a few more shadows back in. Moving on to the eyes, I'm taking these palettes by Certify. They are my favourite for this time of year because I always reach for colours, and the Density palette has the beautiful blue that I want to use. I've decided to do the blue on the left side of my face, or the right side as you're looking at it. I am going to do a controversial look here because I'm going to apply the tattoos on the blue side when they're predominantly on the pink in all the films and most of the images. That being said, the image that I'm working from has the tattoos on the blue side, and I'm going to do the tattoos on the blue side purely because it's easier for me, as I'm right-handed, to do the tattoos on this side. So please forgive me before you come at me in the comment section to say I've done it on the wrong side. This was a personal choice. So I'm using a flat shaded brush to apply this matte blue to the eyes, and I'm creating a slight wing to the look, pulling it more directly straight out as opposed to lifting it up too much. And the eyes are going to be a work in progress. I'm going to be moving backwards and forwards, building them up as I go. I really want them to look very lived in, almost like it could have been makeup that was previously worn when she cried. So it needs to look quite dishevelled, and that's something that you need to kind of build up as the rest of the look comes together. So as I said when I was talking about the foundation, make sure your application isn't too neat. So if you are quite new to makeup, this is going to be great for you because you don't have to concentrate on it being perfect. So I'm doing my first layer of the blue coming down the cheek. You want to think of this as if you've kind of like rubbed your eyes and pulled your eyeshadow down, or a little bit like if you've cried and it's gone down to the sides of your cheek. Think of the eyeshadow as if it's bled out. I'm using a pink that matches the colour of the wig that I've created. So I'm using this Affinity palette also by Certify, and I'm taking this pink here, and this is going on the opposite eye. Even though you want the eyes to look less than perfect, you do want them to look as symmetrical as possible. So try and match the opposite eye in terms of your placement, but again, don't worry about them being too neat. Just try and get the symmetry correct. So I'm taking this underneath the eyes, even though we're going to be going in with a darker shade to kind of smoke it up and make it look lived in and a bit like smudged mascara or smudged eyeliner, you still need to get that base colour down first. Now I'm going to do the same as I did on the blue side. I'm going to start taking that pink down the cheek, and again, try and get it kind of symmetrical. It doesn't have to be a mirror image, but just kind of take it down to around the same level. As I said before, this is our first layer of this. We are going to be working back over this to intensify the shade. We're also going to be working in with a little bit of black to make it look a bit more smudgy. Don't be afraid to use your fingers to kind of press it into the skin or blend edges. Sometimes fingers are a little bit more effective than using a brush, especially for something like this look. Now I'm taking a black kohl pencil by Zoeva all the way along the waterline and the upper waterline, and as you can see, this is so soft. Just one line of it comes out so deep in colour and it doesn't budge. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn sometimes has black all the way along the waterline and sometimes she doesn't, so I'm going to choose to opt for it all the way along. I'm also taking that along the top lash line, thickening it on the outer edge and just smudging it in with my fingers. Again, not being precise at all. The more imperfect, the better. Just to show you, you can also use a small detailer brush to do the smudging for you. You also want to take that underneath your lower eyelash line and just sort of smudge it forward towards that inner corner of your eye. You want to keep the darkest part on the very outer edge, and if you can, connect the outer corner with the top lid, and that way it will frame the eye nicely. I'm using what's left on those bristles to kind of pull the colour out underneath the lower eyelash line. We've all been there when our eyes are watering and our eyeliner starts to run. That's the kind of effect that we want, obviously without the sadness. I'm now going to layer up some more of the blue and the pink on the cheeks, and I'm being a bit more slapdash with it before going in with a little bit of the black on this side to start pulling that down as well. You can also use a tapping motion to deposit some of the colour in between those lines that you've kind of created. I'm going back in with the pink brush that I've used and using what's left on the bristles to pull the colour up. Again, a bit more slapdash in its approach, but just to make it a bit more obvious that there's pink there, because the darker that we get around the lash line, you can start to lose a bit of the colour that we already laid down. So just put some more colour back in. And then we're going to go in with a coat of mascara. The more mascara on your lashes, the better. So I'm using quite a wet mascara. This one is a Sculpted by Amy mascara. You can see with just a few blinks, it really does coat all the eyelashes. So we're going to apply this on both the top and the bottom. Again, having that kind of wet look mascara almost adds to the look, as if you've been upset and a little bit watery eyed. You can buy pre-made tattoos for this look. I'm just using a Clinique liquid eyeliner to create the heart on the cheek. Again, I've already explained why I'm doing this on the blue side. However, if you want to be more true to the character, please feel free to do it on the pink side. You can also get stamp eyeliners in heart shape, so that could be a nice easy one for you guys to get your hands on. I'm smudging a little bit of black eyeshadow around the eyes and again pressing it in with my fingers so it doesn't blend too perfectly. Then I'm going to also build up a bit more pink like I did on the blue side that's coming down the cheeks. On my small detailer brush, I'm taking a bit more of the black eyeshadow and kind of pressing it underneath those lower eyelashes so it looks a bit more smudged. I'm going back to my Clinique liquid eyeliner and I'm writing Rotten along the jaw. Now obviously it's going to come out back to front because I am doing it in the mirror. However, you can print off a little guide, or you can get the small tattooed versions that you can just print onto your skin. I'm taking a bigger brush and going into the black eyeshadow, dusting it off onto the palm of my hand so there's only a little bit on the bristles, and I'm very softly running that through the hollows of the cheeks. Once you've applied the layer, it's really important to press over that with your beauty blender that previously had product on it from your foundation, because this will soften it and make it look a little bit more like a shadow. I'm also going to use that eyeshadow to break up the foundation. Obviously Harley Quinn has been through a lot. She's been fighting, she's been doing all sorts, so her base makeup is going to also look a bit dishevelled and picked up some dirt along the way, and this will just help to break it up a little. Going back to the eyes, again I did say this was a work in progress. I'm darkening the blue on the outer edge a little bit more because I feel like there's a bit more on the pink side, and then just going over with the blue. I'm allowing my brush to kind of skip over the skin so it's not a perfect application, instead it goes on patchy. And then just kind of smudge it in with your finger. For lipstick, I'm using this one by NARS. This is the Air Matte, but if you want to be authentic to the movie, the makeup artist used the Stila Stay All Day liquid lipstick in the shade Beso. I applied this, but I went over it with the Belladonna shade by Melt Cosmetics because I felt like it needed a bit more vibrancy. And then before this set in place, I used my finger just to smudge it. So if you follow me over on Instagram, you'll see that I've been working on this wig. I will share a little short of this because the colouring of the hair was my favourite part. So I just popped this on, and then you can pop in some blue contact lenses if, like me, you have brown eyes. And then that completes your Harley Quinn makeover. I will of course list and link all the products I've used in the description bar. Please give the tutorial a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you would like to see more, I will link on screen my playlist for all my Halloween tutorials. Bye guys!